and because bishop c6 allows this f6, black instead should have played rook to d8. And then one possible line is rook g1, and now bishop c6 works because the king is trapped in the corner and the knight on f3 is no longer defended. So now if white tries to play f6, then that doesn't work because of g takes f6, and if queen e1 then d4, attacking the knight on f3, and now if bishop e4 then comes f5. Now if bishop takes c6, then comes queen takes c6, and after rook to f1 and rook to g8, white's king is the one getting in trouble. So f6 doesn't work in that position, so instead white should play queen to f1, guarding the f3 knight. And then comes bishop to g5, and after bishop takes g5, h takes g5, opening the h file. And now if white plays rook takes g5, then comes knight to e3, attacking the queen. And now if queen to f2, then comes d4, which temporarily protects the knight. And after c takes d4, bishop takes f3 check, queen takes f3, and queen to c3 attacks both bishop and rook. And if rook g1, then just queen takes d3 and black wins. But in the game, black played a bishop to c6, and white missed his chance of playing f6 and blundered instead with rook to e1. After which black missed his best move and played castles. Instead, better would have been to play d4, pinning the knight on f3 and threatening bishop takes f3 check. Now if bishop to e4, then d takes c3, winning a pawn. And after queen b3, then comes bishop takes e4, and after rook takes e4, knight to a5, with an advantage for black. But in the game, black instead played castles, and now queen c1, which is inaccurate. Better was to play queen c2, getting ready to go to g2, which would both defend the knight on f3 and also threaten bishop takes h6 because of the pin on the pawn on g7. So if d4, then queen g2 is the move for white. But instead white played queen to c1, and then came d4. And now white blundered with f6, leaving the f3 knight hanging with check. Better was to play king to g2, defending the knight on f3, and then black should play d takes c3, and now if bishop takes c4, then bishop takes f3 followed by queen takes e4, and if queen takes c3, then knight to e3 check, and if the knight is taken, then comes bishop takes f3 followed by capturing the queen on c3. So white has to move the king to g3, and then comes knight g2. Of course, white can't take again because of bishop takes f3 check, winning the queen for black. And so white should play rook to e2, and then comes knight takes f4, and after king takes f4, f6 using the pin, black is better because he is a pawn up and his king is much safer, and he has the bishop pair. Now in the game, White played f6, blunting the knight on f3, so black took the knight with check, and after king g1 he played bishop takes f3, which still easily wins, but better was to play bishop to c5, threatening to take on c3. And if now bishop takes c4, then comes d takes c3 check, and if king f1, then comes queen d7, with the very strong threat of queen to h3 check. But in the game, black played bishop takes a3, and after rook takes a3, knight takes a3, queen takes a3. He should have played d takes c3, but instead went for queen takes c3. And if after d takes c3, white tries to win the pawn with rook c1, then comes queen b6 check, followed by queen d4, attacking both bishops and therefore winning. So black played queen takes c3 in this position, and then came queen takes c3, d takes c3, and now this endgame is easily winning. An exchange and 3 pawns up. White played rook to f1, and black played bishop to d5. After f takes g7 came king takes g7, and after bishop to e3, king to h8, clearing the g file. And after bishop d4, after rook g8 check, white played king to f2, and then came rook g2 check, and the king went to e3, and black moved out of the diagonal of the white bishop with king to g8, and then came bishop takes c3, and after rook takes h2, white checked black with rook to g1, and then came rook g2, and after the rook moved back to f1, black gave a check on g3, and then came king to d4, and after bishop to c6, white played a blunder, bishop to c4, and then came rook d8 check. And now after king to c5, the bishop on c3 is hanging, and now white blundered again with king to b4. Can you see the tactic? Pause the video and take your time to figure it out. Okay, I will continue now. So the tactic for black is to play rook takes c4, because after king takes c4, black plays bishop to b5 check, winning the rook on f1. White played on for a few moves, king to c5, bishop takes f1, king b6, king f8, king takes b7, rook d5. This was probably all in time trouble. King to c6, rook takes e5, king b6, f6, king c7, h5, king d6, h4, king c6, h3, king d6, h2, king c7, h1 queen, and finally white resigned. If you want me to analyze your game, please send me a personal message with the PGN. Thanks for watching, and please leave a comment on YouTube. Bye bye.